This is Chapter 3, Learning Objective 3. We're looking at the FICA taxable wage base. The OASDI wages cap for 2012 is 110,100. And that is the cap that is used in all of the examples in this series of podcasts. For 2013, it's 113,100. At the time that this slide was written, it said estimated, but now that really is what it is. And the Medicare health insurance wages never cap. So since there's no ceiling, the employers compute health insurance tax on the full amount of wages. And they'll withhold that also from the employee. However, there is some legislation for 2013 that creates an additional 0.9 health insurance surtax on taxpayers receiving wages in excess of $200,000 or $250,000 if they're married filing jointly, or a surtax of 3.8% on modified adjusted gross income in excess of $200,000 or $250,000 if married filing jointly. The employer will not be matching the surtaxes for this HI surtax here, if that's what happens. So that's just an interesting note. In 1950, there were 16 workers paying into Social Security for every one person collecting benefits. By 2042, that ratio is expected to be 2 to 1. So a lot of you, you might not ever get Social Security because of this fact. So when you calculate FICA, and when I'm talking about FICA, I'm talking about Social Security and the Medicare health insurance, okay? So here's an example. Tamara earns $138,000 a year and is paid semi-monthly on the 15th and the 30th. Determine the FICA for the October 30th payroll. Okay, so first you have to find what her year-to-date gross is to see if she's hit the limit or not. Because remember, you only pay FICA on the first 110,100. So you take 138,000 and divide it by 24 because she's paid semi-monthly. So that's her semi-monthly rate. So how many payrolls were run before the 1030 payroll? You know, if you have to, count on your fingers. But you've got January, you've got 2 in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. 2 in each of those months, so that's 18. And then you have the October 15th, so that's 19 payrolls before the payroll that we're looking at right now, which is the one on 1030. So you take her semi-annual times the 19 payrolls, and this is what she's been paid to date. So she only has to pay FICA or OASDI on the first 110,100. So take the difference between the two. And so her tax on this 20th payroll, the OASDI is only on the 850. The employer pays 4.2%. And again, if you're watching this after 2013, or for years other than 2013, there's a good chance that the employee, did I say the employer? I meant the employee. That the employee and the employer are both going to be paying the same rate. I'm not going to redo all these videos for that reason. Just know that whatever the rates are, substitute them in here. So she would pay $35.70, and the employer pays 6.2%, so $52.70. For the HI, it's the full amount, the full $57.50 times 1.45, and that's what it will be for each one of them, 83.83 or 83.38 for each. So the FICA for Tamara is the 35 plus the 83.38, and for the employer the 52.70 plus the 83.38. So here's another example. Ahmad earns $175,000 a year, and he's paid the first of every month. What will be his FICA for the August 1st payroll? So what do we calculate first? Well, first we have to see how close is he to the limit. So gets paid monthly, so 175 divided by 12, it's 14,583.33 per paycheck. Then you count the number of payrolls before today's payroll. So if this is August 1st, we have January, February, March, April, May, June, July. That's 7 payrolls before the August payroll. So 7 times his monthly rate is 102. So he's getting close to the limit, but he's not there yet. But he's going to reach the limit on this 7th payroll, because if you add 14,000 to 102, it's up to 116. So once he hits 110, 100, he's over it. So he has to pay FICA on 8,016.69, because that'll bring him up to the limit. So he will have 4.2% withheld on this 8,016.69, and the employer has to pay 6.2%. For 497.03. Now let's look at the health insurance. There is no cap on the health insurance. So it's the full amount, the full 14,583 times 1.45 for both the employee and the employer. So these amounts are just added together here so that you can see the employer basically is paying more. The difference is that extra 2.2 for the OASDI. Self-employment and independent contractors. If an employee gets paid, if there's self-employment income of more than 400, then you have to pay self-employment tax. And basically the net earnings equals net income plus distributive share of partnership income. So it might be that you have net income from a sole proprietorship, and if you're also part of a partnership or an LLC, whatever your share is of that income is subject to FICA. If you own more than one business, like let's say you have a horse training business and you also have a computer business, computer consulting. Let's say the horse racing business is losing money, but the computer business is making money. You would net those two incomes together and then pay Social Security on the net amount. So the for 2013, the self-employment taxes are 4.2 plus 1.45. That's the OASDI for the employee and Medicare for the employee, and the OASDI for the employer plus Medicare for the employer, 13.3. When the employee has to pay the same as the 6.2 that the employer pays, this is 15. This ends up being 15.5. And I mean, yeah, 15.5. I just think of it as 15%. I mean, when I'm talking to clients, telling them what their self-employment tax is, because 15% is pretty easy to calculate. But it really is 15.5 in 2013. So it's possible to have W-2 and self-employment income. Lots of people get wages and then they have a business on the side. Both the net earnings from your self-employment and your gross earnings from your wages count towards this cap of 110, 100. And the self-employment income is reported on a Schedule C, which is a summary of your revenues and expenses from your business. And then that Schedule C net income gets reported on the Form 1040. And also, you have to file a Schedule SC, which is how the self-employment tax, and it shows how you calculate the self-employment tax. And you're to make the self-employment taxes, you're to do quarterly payments. You have to estimate, because you don't know what it's going to be, so you basically estimate based on the previous year's taxes what you think you'll owe for the next year, and then you're supposed to pay those every quarter. Because when you're an employee, those get withheld from every paycheck and forwarded to the government throughout the year, and the government wants its money throughout the year. They don't want to wait until April 15th of the subsequent year to get paid your taxes. Plus, they know people will spend it. If they don't send it in, they'll spend it for the most part. So, calculating FICA if you have wages and self-employment earning. Here's an example. Celia's W-2, $117,768, and her self-employment income is $14,500. Okay, how much does she owe? How much FICA on the $14,500? Well, nothing for OASDI, because she's already paid in the FICA on the first $110,100, so it's capped on the W-2. However, she has to pay both her share and the employer. It's because she's self-employed, she's the employee and the employer, so she has to pay HI on that, and 1.45 times 2 is 2.9. So it's the employer and the employee's share she has to pay, so that's the total FICA that she will pay. Here's another example. Philippe makes $78,000 from his job, and his self-employment income is $36,000. How much is his self-employment tax going to be? Well, if you add these two together, it's more than, when I just first look at it, I can see it's more than 110. So I know he's reached the limit with his self-employment income. So let's figure out how much of the self-employment income is subject to the OASDI. So 110.1 minus the 78 that he's already had the FICA withheld from. So he owes taxes on the next 32,100. So of this 32,100 is subject to the OASDI. And the 10.4 is, again, remember, self-employment is the employee's share and the employer's share. So 4.2 plus 6.2. And then the whole 36 is subject to the HI. So the 1.45 for the employer and the employee is the 2.9, and that's subject to the whole 100 or the whole 36,000. So you would add those two together to get the 4382.40. So how do you get set up with the Social Security Administration? It's easy. You do it online. You can apply for a Social Security number online, and right here is the link, and you'll get it immediately. They'll mail it to you or email it to you. Of course, if they email it to you, you get it immediately, or they'll mail it to you. And if you're purchasing an existing business, then the new owner needs an identification number. So an identification number is to a company as a Social Security number is to an individual. It's their identifying number. In all matters to do with the government, you have to show, you've got to have a separate identification number. Social Security numbers are required for everyone that's employed or self-employed. And basically, children age 1 or over who are claimed as dependents have to have one. So pretty much everybody has one now. Also, you can complete a Form W-7 for aliens who have to file a tax return but are ineligible for Social Security. This is called a taxpayer ID number. I have a girlfriend who was here and earning money, and actually she was here illegally for a long time. She's not here anymore illegally, but she was. from Amsterdam, and she wanted to start paying Social Security so that she could kind of get going with the system. So she filed for a taxpayer ID number, which is different than the Social Security number, and then she filed a tax return based on that number. Okay,